Hi, everyone. Welcome to Transportation Transformed. My name is Brittany Worthy, and I'm the Global Partner Manager here at Cloudreach, supporting the relationship between Google Cloud, based in New York City. We also have Daniel Roden. He's our GCP Practice Tech Lead, and we will be talking to you specifically about our Department of Transportation solutions and how we can help customers today. And I'm going to start by giving a little background on the company. So for those who may not know Cloudreach, we've been around since 2009. We are a Blackstone portfolio company. We were born in the cloud. We now have over 800 plus employees across 7 different countries. We help clients of all sizes tackle the hardest challenges throughout their cloud transformation, whether that be cloud strategy and adoption, cloud management, application innovation, or data insights, which is what we're going to speak about today. And then when it comes to our partnership with Google Cloud, we are recognized as a premier partner. We are also an authorized reseller and managed service provider, and we hold specializations in cloud migration, security, data and analytics, as well as infrastructure. We were also awarded the Security Partner of the Year for the 3rd year in a row last year. So I'm also going to pass it over to Daniel to quickly introduce himself, and then I will highlight what we're going to be speaking about specifically today.
Hey everyone, it's so good to be with you. Brittany, thank you for putting this together. I look forward to our conversation today.
Awesome. So we've worked with several different DOTs, and Daniel has actually been on one of our longest standing customer projects as the cloud data architect. But our goal within each of the DOTs that we work with is to really ensure a safe and efficient highway system by leveraging technology instead of building more roads is really the gist of what we're trying to solve. So that we also help coordinate responses based on real-time insights and predict road and device maintenance using Looker as our visualization tool, which is also a GCP tool. And over time, the platform can really be used for public notifications to citizens who are drivers. They can also be used for DOTs to receive more information about traffic or road incidents, crashes, things like that. And then also variable speed limits and eventually maybe autonomous cars. So that's what we are doing across multiple different DOTs today. And I'm going to be speaking to Daniel specifically about how we can help your DOT. So, Daniel, what are some of the challenges that you think DOTs are facing, and how can Cloudreach solve them?
That's a great question. So we are seeing across the board, there's a disconnect between the different departments and what they're trying to accomplish. They all want to be able to have situational awareness, whether that's billing or they're having situational awareness into response management. If they got roadways that they need to get cleared or they have assets they need to deploy, they want eyes on that information to make informed decisions. I care a lot about this situation because my father was a firefighter. In case you don't know it, they don't just put water on the red stuff. They also go and respond to car accidents, and sometimes they have to deal with blocked highways. And one of the things that my dad would come back and tell us about was how people were so eager to get to their destination that they would weave their cars in and out of a crash scene just to keep on going. And the faster that we can get those first responders on scene and being able to deal with the situation, we can help improve their safety and the traveler's safety. So some of the ways that we're dealing with that is you got to be able to de-silo the data and help them break those boundaries between information and help them be able to bring it to a central location, help them figure out those patterns. We can also help them with some of the sound bites that are necessary. And I'll explain more on that in a little bit.
Amazing. Yes, I totally agree. And hats off to your dad for firefighting. And yes, I live in New York City, so I see emergency vehicles get stuck all the time. It would be great if we could find a way to just make that more easily accessible, and traffic to be managed better. So how do you think agencies, or go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say one more thing back on the other question. It, there's another situation called secondary crash analysis that you have an incident, and being able to have that data and finding out what are the metrics that matter to make sure there's not another incident. I am sure you've heard stories. Either you have been in a situation where all of a sudden traffic stopped in front of you, and now you've got this other car accident. And that car accident was a direct result of the other accident. Like, even though they weren't right there and directly involved, being able to find information to see how can we minimize that, and then be able to trace that over time. That has been really, really interesting, and seeing what our DOT has been doing with that information and making real change. So sorry, I just get excited about this.
No, that's a very interesting topic to bring back up. I really think that would be useful for everyone who's tuning in. So thanks for bringing that back up. How do you think agencies that are using on-prem data centers be innovative?
Well, it does come back to some of those assets that they have available. I mean, they've made tremendous investment in these data centers, and they have critical components running on them and services. So as you get these ideas, we're seeing sometimes this question of how do we add to what we have without taking down or a loss of service in other areas. Like, it's almost like you push on a bubble and either something breaks or the bubble deforms into something you didn't expect it to deform into. So being able to have certain patterns where we can move load, portions of that load, to where they're not having to go and move everything over into the cloud, because that can be terrifying from a budget perspective, from an implementation perspective. But being able to isolate certain pieces and then decoupling what we hope to innovate and solve from the physical limitations of that data center. One example, sometimes it is almost like a godsend when we can say, let us help you move traffic to where, when people are making requests, like they've got like a read-only situation, how about we move and we make that primary read as a replicate over into the cloud, let the cloud respond to that, and now you've got one connection back and forth between our cloud copy and the single source of truth. That cuts down all of those other sources seeking to get that information from hitting those primary servers. So it just helps with that migration strategy, so that way you're not having to go and like, boom, let's move it all over into the cloud, because that can be scary and that can be costly, and you may not have the time to get all that done. Anyway, I hope that helps with some of those things, that way you can innovate, just kind of decouple those use cases from that physical data center. I would say let's start by looking at what we can offload into the cloud and make sense. At the same time, we're solving a new problem, and we're reducing load off of perhaps some aging or legacy systems.
Yeah, definitely. And we have a team of strategists and chief technologists here that can help, with that whole process and kind of mapping that out. So great points. What are some of the blockers? So just, trying to get started.
There's never any blockers. Everything's smooth and just, right? That's how it goes.
Yeah.
No, I would say there's probably two categories of blockers. There is the technology. That, of course, is one of the areas where we've got to make sure that we can handle the real-time information coming in, so that way we can provide that situational awareness. We want to make sure that we can solve those problems of long-term, cost-effective storage of that information, helping people understand the difference between signal and noise. And so often there is this desire to eliminate noise too quickly. And I have to remind them, like, if a sensor is acting up and it keeps giving an awry speed reading, it may be noise to you now, but when you start trying to implement something to preemptively service that unit, the amount of noise it gives and the frequency of noise that it gives is signal. So making sure that we have a good strategy to be able to move that data into something where we can put a model or a predictive model on and make some real-time decisions. The other category is political. And being able to get buy-in is really important. I've seen departments have a strong passion for what it is they do. Sometimes they have, I'll say, an overdeveloped sense of importance of their data, and they don't want others to see it. And being able to help give sound bites to help speak their currency. Maybe their currency is time to market. Maybe their currency is cost, and they're very budget sensitive. Being able to have those sound bites where we can connect the value that we're providing of moving this information, making your data more accessible by moving it to the cloud, and then that value back, which getting access to other people's data. Brittany, I can't tell you how many times we've come across a situation where they have budget allocated, but we have to go and build out this data set, only to find out that 3 other departments have already done this. And it's the same data, you all need it, but you're all spinning your wheels trying to recreate something that was already there. If it were centralized, if it were cataloged, and you had a pattern for consuming it, everyone gets more for their buck. And so being able to help get people on board with this idea, we provide more than just the technical solutions. We provide our expertise into sometimes the political sound bites and that eye candy they need in order to make a compelling story.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure there's oftentimes legacy systems that may not even be able to provide the right data. So we can also help update those, or provide a better tool that would give us the data that we're looking for.
You're so right. The first time we help someone put something into BigQuery, and let's say everyone's got that report, you know what I'm talking about, the report that they need to have. And it runs all night long. Sometimes it takes a couple of days in order for it to compile information. And then when we show them Google Scale at BigQuery to build that same report, and they see the same table, there's nothing different about the table. It's just the aggregates are there, but it's done in seconds, maybe sometimes minutes, but still going from like days. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So it's also a little bit of hand-holding, training even the people that we've already sold, hey, this could actually be better, and here's why.
Exactly. Yeah, you said it.
So where does Cloudreach come into the picture? I know we've, spoken about how do we rally the troops at some of the DOTs, but where do we really come in, and offer our expertise?
Well, sometimes we don't always get to choose the right time of engagement. Sometimes there is that
Yeah.
use case, and it's the one that opens the door. And when we do the rock star job on that one, it opens other doors, and being able to help bring that in. We can help bring together the right audiences for the decision makers, and being able to identify, okay, do we have the right people part of this meeting in order for us to make the decisions that we need to? And we can help identify that. And just going through some of our standard processes of identifying the state of a problem, how well identified the decision makers are, what other dependencies that we have. So we like to get started just doing the general discovery, working through with the customer, and document, and then come through and with our proposal. Sometimes we will provide an architecture, and then in that process we'll provide that, maybe the C-level translation of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to take out a few of the diagrams and some of the bigger words, and but again, it's to be able to have a successful. We want them to receive the story that we're telling them, so that way they can recognize the value that we're providing. And other than that, I send them over to you. Like if they got more questions,
Yeah. Well, you can always find us at gcp@cloudreach.com. If you have any questions, Daniel and I are here to assist. But just wanted to highlight some of our other services that we offer as a company. So here at Cloudreach together, specifically when it comes to public sector, I would say our 3 use cases are around security and data. So when it comes to security, understanding real-time threats with your digital infrastructure, and then around data, within data, we have examples around healthcare. So understanding emerging public health needs and being able to allocate resources there. And then also highways for DOT, leveraging public and private data sets to provide information on weather, disasters, road traffic incidents to then alert citizens. So that's really all we wanted to speak to you about today. Like I said, please contact us, gcp@cloudreach.com, and we look forward to hearing from you.